Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to cover the big picture here about IoT. Two tracks of IoT that is really under consideration by startups and investors and so many of the people who are excited about this field. The security track and the analytic track. The security track is something that I have many webinars about this one, which is involved the blockchain technology. Today, we're going to talk about the second track, which is the analytics. The analytic is dealing with artificial intelligence. How can we make IoT more intelligent? One line can explain the difference here, why we are really as a community here or as a Silicon Valley focus on both of them, the security and the analytics. You would like to have a network that is smart and secure. You don't want to have a network that is smart and insecure, or you have it as secure and a dumb network. Nobody will use it in this case. So the webinar today will be talking about a very specific area in the concept here, which is how can we use artificial intelligence, which is it is the second comeback of the artificial intelligence. I remember when I was in college and artificial intelligence was a big thing. But we don't have the tools, we don't have the abilities to go and use it as much as we have now. We have so many software and hardware that will help us a lot in making this kind of dream comes true. So a little bit about myself here when we talk about the focus of the artificial intelligence, and very quickly to understand the multiple levels of artificial intelligence here. Artificial intelligence itself, as a science or as an area, has inside it two subdivisions, which is the machine learning, and then inside the machine learning you can talk about deep learning. Now I give a small example to my student when I'm explaining to them the differences between the three levels here of intelligence. The machine learning is asking the computer to define pictures of people smiling. So the computer will look at 200 pictures and say number 2 and number 50 are smiling. That is machine learning. Deep learning is defining why people are smiling. Is it a real smile? It is a fear smile? Is it, somebody is making fun of you by smiling? So that's deep learning. That's the multiple levels of intelligence, and we need all of them when it comes to the IoT here. Now, businesses understand how significant it is when it comes to IoT. It's very important to understand that a lot of businesses, small, medium, large, they realize by now that IoT is here to stay. And we have all these scattered systems and devices. Now it's time for us to connect them and get the power of the connectivity of all these millions and billions of devices. And this transformation will create startups, a lot of new products, nothing more than what you see, what you hear every day. When we talk about Google having their own Google Home, and you're talking about Alexa from Amazon, you're talking about Siri from Apple. Those are the prime examples of the hubs with IoT, because this is their plan. The big companies, they want to make a hub that will connect all their devices to one point where they can get all the information and process it, because that is the definition of IoT, which is looking at everything, communicating with everything. You wake up in the morning, you look at the mirror will tell you you're sick, and the mirror will tell you, well, then I have an appointment for you with the doctor. I already called over to take you. I moved your meeting to another time and to another day, and then you go there, then a drone will bring the medication to your window and you get it. And when you need a refill, that container will have a sensor that will alert the doctor and the pharmacy to send you a refill. So this is a small example about how the businesses, along this cycle of the consumption of the consumers, can benefit from that. And they realize, if you look at this one, the companies realize that big time. IoT will help, bring that business. Artificial intelligence will make it smarter, so you can squeeze as much possible as you can out of it. Add to this one, it can bring more customers to the table here. The very simple, and I'm going over this one very quickly because IoT term is is a common term now, which is basically a system of interconnected objects. You have a sensor, actuator, virtual objects, people, services, platforms. All of them networked and communicate and take actions based on that. Some examples of this one is you're talking about, all the applications we have them in the cars, in driverless cars or autonomous cars. And we have an expert with us here in the audience. Sometimes we name IoT as the Industry 4.0 or the fourth revolution, industry revolution here. It is a correct statement, but it is not complete, because that one is talking about the factory or the industrial part of it. It's not talking about the consumer part of that. Gartner forecasts that about 20.8 or 20 billion devices will be connected. It's not that far from today. And some other firms, they expect over 50 billion devices will be connected. And you need to connect the connected devices here to make sure that the information is flowing easily and smart between the two. And I'm trying to build the case here to go to the next level, which is why we need artificial intelligence here. Health care, using IoT will be about $117 billion by 2020, and that will include 250 million connected devices. And you're talking about saving life. You're talking about having an alert here. One of the things that we have fires here in California and North Bay, in Napa and Santa Rosa and all. I mean, can you imagine if we have sensors all the place and information sending to everybody about it, alerting people to, the temperature is high here. You have to take some actions. Life will be saved, properties will be saved. So the implication of using it in real life is huge, and people understand and company understand that. And that's the muscle. So the IoT is the muscle here. The artificial intelligence is the brain, which will do the calculation, look at the data collected by IoT, and process this data. Now, because the data is so large, so big, it's not easy for human to process that. We need help. And the artificial intelligence algorithm, and you can ask any data scientist, will tell you about that. This is actually, the perfect storm for them, which is you have this huge data, you have this wonderful algorithm, they use this one to, example of this one, the one that I mentioned about Apple and Google and Amazon. Collecting data is one thing, sorting, analyzing, and making sense of the data is completely a different thing. You can collect the business cards in a show. You have a stack of them. That's the easy part. You have your booth, you have your presentation, you can collect this one. Now, what are you going to do after that? How can you benefit from that? How can you get as much insights from this kind of information as possible? Now, two things needed for us to improve our understanding and processing of IoT data. Number one is we have to improve the speed of the of analytics or the big data analysis here. And we have to also to improve the accuracy of big data analysis. Garbage in, garbage out. That's the case. Collect the data, collect business cards that has nothing to do with your business, and you have done nothing. It's just the processing time and processing power, but no results here. So if we can guarantee this kind of improving the speed in this and increasing or improving the accuracy of the big data analysis, that will improve our chances of benefiting from the IoT data. Now, this diagram is very helpful because I'm going to talk about two things here. How artificial intelligence will help the IoT data analytics, and what kind of challenges are actually facing this kind of algorithm or way or trend of using artificial intelligence. So let's start with the first one. The first one is talking about artificial intelligence and IoT data analytics. The first one, the AI can help with the first step, data preparation, defining pools of data, which will take us to two concepts here: dark data and data lakes. And if you're in this field, you understand the two concepts. What is dark data? And you can Google that when you're going to find. And I wrote an article about dark data, which is actually a huge part of big data is actually dark data, which is people, they don't use it. They just process small part of it, which makes sense to them. And data lakes, which is you dump everything in a lake, and then you think about it later. Okay, I'm going to go and look for data. So artificial intelligence can help with that, can help with data preparation. So we can find and specify and locate the clean data we're looking for. The discovery, finding the useful data in the defined pools of data. You find data which is useful. So data you define and say, okay, well, I have names, I have, purchases, I have behavior, I have trends. How is that going to help my business? This person is buying product which is completely out of the scope of my business. That's a good data, but it's not good for me. So now you go and discover this, and the AI can help with that by saying, I took this huge dark data in that data lake, and I get this information here, but which part of this data will be good for me to take me to the second level, or take me to the second step, or give me that insight so I can make that decision. And visualization of streaming data. It is the fun part of it. It's that part where people love this, and this is the selling point for so many of the startups, for so many of the new companies, which is how can I make it so visual for the consumer, so the consumer can buy their own decision, can make that, can look at the data and then make that decision. So on the fly, dealing with streaming real time by defining, discovering, and visualizing in smart ways that make it easy for us to make that decision. The fourth one is something has to do with the accuracy. Something has to do with, the integrity of the data. I'm not collecting data that, missing something there. If you took any classes in statistics, that one of the items that you use to clean the data is looking for outliers and see where's that outlier. I mean, that one is, that one we have to take it off, or we have a special consideration for that. You're looking at the center, the variation, you're looking at the distribution, you're looking at the time of the data. All of these things is part of you looking at the time series accuracy of the data. The fifth one, predictive and advanced analytics. And that's the one where the money is for many of the companies, the startups, the new companies. It's an important step where decision can be made based on the collected data that discovered and analyzed. And I'm talking about predictive and advanced analytics here. They give you, scenarios, and based on that, you will make that decision. And that one will be very helpful. Why? Because you build that kind of scenario or scenarios based on the data that's clean, that's good for you, and now you're getting to the point where the insights will be helpful for your business. Number 6 is talking about real-time geospatial and location, maintaining the flow of the data smooth and under control. This is another step that the artificial intelligence can help us with. Okay, the next one is some application. I'm going to give you some applications about that. Some application is, for example, that allow the computer to look deep inside the images on the screen with the new application and understand the context of the. I gave everybody about who's smiling. If that smile a real smile, or that smile is, somebody is fearing something. Somebody has some issues here. The next one is cognitive systems, and for example, that will understand the taste, will understand the what the customers like, or through their senses, through their orders. That's what will be the case. Another example is hearing. And we have this, in a sense, if you have an Xbox, if you have Netflix, if you have all these kind of different, system, then all what you're going to do is just say something, okay, Xbox on, PlayStation, all these. So we have this kind of communication using all our senses and communicating with devices. And that's another way that artificial intelligence can help us with. Connecting, and this is the application for the industrial IoT with smart and connected warehouses, where you don't have to go to every IO looking for this. And Amazon is really big on this. They have their own operations that will use robots, and those robots are actually in dark. They don't need the light to roam around in the warehouses. Okay, now let's talk about the challenges here. And the challenges here is really a lot. I mean, we have six benefits that, or six ways artificial intelligence can help IoT. Now we're talking about challenges facing the artificial intelligence and IoT. And I'm going to go over all of them to make sure that it's really clear for everyone. Okay, so compatibility. IoT is a collection of many parts and systems. They are fundamentally different in time and space. Now, this statement is understatement because just mentioning the name, when I say, companies like Google, and I say companies like Amazon, I say companies like Apple, each one of them would like to have their share in the market. They don't want to share it with anyone. And the only reason for them to communicate with each other and have the devices talk to each other if they see more profit, if they see a bigger market. And compatibility always been a problem. I hope we can get to the day where you will buy a device and it is IoT certified with plug and play. You don't have to worry about like what we have now. I will buy anything and put it in my computer, and I don't have to worry about the installation. I don't have to go to the days of the 90s where I have to figure out through the register. They have to do all these things, how to define, how to do that. So that's one big problem here, and this can be done through the standards. And IEEE, hopefully, you're working on some kind of a standards there. Maybe we will have some kind of a push from the government that will ask companies to have a unified standard to do business with them, and that can direct the research and the efforts of the companies to do that. The second one is it's a complex. Complexity is a complex and complicated system with many moving parts, a non-stop stream of data. It's from everywhere. We think about a car like Tesla, which is basically a computer on wheels, and how much data is really coming out of it. And that the case of autonomous cars, the case of a situation like the health, IoT, all these things is very crucial for us because this is death or life decision. It's not going to lose money. This is going to lose lives. So we have this challenge, against us with the artificial intelligence, and there are many things included in this. I remember in one of the Amazon, the vice president of the IoT at Amazon was talking about, it's a big problem for the data to go from the car to the cloud and come back with a decision. You don't have that luxury to make that quick decision about it. So that is another challenging part of it, and that is a big thing about artificial intelligence helping IoT to overcome the complication of the different parts of it and the complexity of having the part talking to each other. Now, the PSS, which is another area here, important for us as consumers, the privacy, security, and safety. And the prime example of this one, I'll give two examples of it. The big example that we had last year on Friday, October 21st, 2016, we have an attack on about 500 million devices, connected devices, and that is done by a very small, simple code written in C. It's available in GitHub. I'm not encouraging people to use it, but you can look at it. It's about 600 lines. You took that program and they name it Mariah, the Japanese word for future. And what they have done is they spread this one all over the connected devices, security, cameras, anything that, the thermostat, the smart, anything has the word smart next to it, affected by this one for a very simple reason. They did not change the default password. So it was available, online. This small program managed to bring them down. And based on that one, they brought down some of the big websites. And like New York Times, Twitter, they've been really, affected by this. So that's an example. And the other one is, I want to cry, ransom. The ransom issue here about, we're going to be victims. If somebody used that with all the connectivity around us, which is the blessing of the IoT, use it against us. We need privacy. We need security. We need safety in this case. It's always an issue here. Solution for that is blockchain. And you're welcome to check the article the articles I wrote them about blockchain and IoT. I have some webinar also about that. So the blockchain, the decentralized ledger that makes every single node in the network responsible for security instead of centralized node that will make a decision about accepting the transaction or rejecting that transaction. So privacy, security, safety is another challenge for the artificial intelligence. That will be another way of looking at what we need to overcome here. Ethical and legal issues. It's a new world for many companies. It's never been tested before. Who's responsible for the insurance of this? If the code is wrong, what kind of a gap insurance you're going to have here? What kind of laws if somebody abused that? I was given an interview to one of the local stations here, and one of the questions that they asked, the reporter was asking me, are we talking about Skynet? Are we talking about the Terminator? I mean, what are you talking about exactly? Well, I will answer this one with a statement from Jack Ma, the famous CEO, president of Alibaba. He said the machines with artificial intelligence, they're smart. Artificial intelligence means machines will do the work smarter, easier, and faster. Human are wiser, which that means we know why we're doing it and when and the reasons behind that one. So my answer to the reporter was, when we get to artificial wisdom, then I'm going to be worried about that, because now it's a different operating system. It's not artificial intelligence. Now we're talking about artificial wisdom. Now that we are dealing with a real trouble. That's why my last statement to the reporter is, we need a kill switch that will stop the machine if we get to that level in the future. The last one is artificial stupidity. Back to the very simple concept in statistics: garbage in, garbage out. You have to train artificial intelligence. I mean, how many times you been in that situation where you stopped at this traffic light and nobody's right, left in any direction, and you have to wait there, and you say, okay, it's 2 minutes. It's not gonna change a lot in my life, but think about it. Why there is no smart, traffic signals that will realize that nobody from the other side will open that for you. And sometimes you see that yourself, you're entering numbers, and there is no validation of that. There is no intelligence in this. So, and the computer will process it, will take it and process it. The computer will do whatever you told them. They will follow the same algorithm. They will have some check later, but when you start collecting the data, we need this intelligence from everywhere, from the edge until the big machine, the processing stage for that. And so to understand human reactions, emotions, so that this will make sense. And back again to the example of the smiles. Smiles are they real or out of fear? That's the deep learning here. And that's what companies like Google and Facebook, they are really looking at something like this to define it and say, okay, this is real, this is fear, this is something else. So the conclusion here, the IoT is impressive. We know that. As a system, as a collection of technologies, is very, very important for us to think about it from a business perspective, that this will be the future. That if you are not thinking about IoT, and I met with the CEO of one of the companies here in the Valley 3 weeks ago, and he's doing good in his business. He's great. He's growing, and he asked me, how can I get involved with IoT? Now, I love that question, because he's thinking ahead. He said, okay, I'm going to be left behind if I don't have that. So my answer to him was exactly what I told everybody today, which is you have to think about which track you're going to go. Are you going to with the analytic track, which is using the artificial intelligence, or the security track, which is using something like blockchain here? It really doesn't amount to much without a good brain, which is the artificial intelligence. So both technologies had to reach the same level of development. Scientists really trying to find ways to make more intelligent data, analysis software. So maybe somebody working on a software there to make it much better for us to understand it. It may take time, but by the end of the day, this is a possible thing for us. Integrating both the artificial intelligence and IoT, it's a prerequisite for success. For today, IoT basis here. All the companies are reading about this with Walmart, how Walmart using this one. I read the State Department, how using this kind of technology to make a decision about this. So it's not something which is now just in the research papers or something which is, the funded in everybody's lab. It's really a reality for the businesses here. The only way to keep up with this IoT generated data and gain the hidden usable insight is to think about artificial intelligence as the catalyst of IoT. And if you think about it that way, you will gain a lot of insight, and you will be ahead of the curve. You're not going to left in the dark. This is some references here. Let me get out of this and go back to. Okay, I have a question. I have Sudha asking, can you tell us what means that will help in the IoT package for drone delivery medicine scenario? Okay, that's good. It is the information we have, and I'm answering Sudha about it, but the information you have from between the pharmacy and the doctor, and that's why you need the privacy and you need the security for, it's like the HIPAA, protocols you have here. Let me bring back, I think I have 2 minutes. I'll bring back the screen of that I talked about it before, just to remind people about it. So this is the screen that covered the artificial intelligence and IoT data analytics between data preparation and discovery and visualization and time series and predictive and advanced analytics and rhythm. So between the opportunities for benefiting IoT to the challenges here, if somebody can come up with a solution for that one, he or she will dominate the market with that. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions there. I have my information if somebody would like to email me or ask any questions. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.